My narcissistic abuse family. It feels like it's been a minute since I made a video. I'm really excited about this topic today. To be honest, my research was sort of a letdown, but nonetheless, I think it's a great topic of conversation that we can make educated assumptions and conclusions. First of all, I hope you checked out my podcast interview with Jess from Shit Moms Won't Say. I enjoyed doing that. I think it's so healing to have conversations with people that have been in similar predicaments as us, unfortunately. But the validation is always priceless. So check that out if you have not done so. All right, today my topic is disease versus disorder. So, narcissistic personality disorder is characterized as such in the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, used by mental health care professionals. So, I've been struggling to reconcile this recently, more than ever, to be honest. So, I can absolutely acknowledge that my parents are mentally disordered. Narcissistic personality disorder is a state of mental health that is unhealthy. So, when I was doing research for this, I was pretty disappointed, to be honest with you. I looked up the definition for disease, I looked up the definition for disorder, and sadly enough, the word disorder was in the definition for disease. It's a disordered state of functionality in a human system or animal. I was like, dang it, man. I was really looking for a significant, quantifiable, variance, but ultimately, at the end of the day, disorder and disease are used interchangeably in the medical community. So you're not going to find any substantial difference if you're looking there for it. All right, so narcissistic personality disorder. I absolutely acknowledge all day long that these people are disordered, and I know this, and you know this, because they can't stop repeating the same behaviors over and over and over, and like they think they're going to get a different result. It's absolutely preposterous when you witness it. Like, my husband and I, but like in the initial stages of the no contact, when the toxic duo was attacking me and coming at me, my husband and I both provided ample examples of instances in which they disrespected me, us as a family, and they're just flagrant mistreatment and disregard for me and my well-being, and it's just one example after another. It's irrefutable, but they refuse to acknowledge it. It's like they just keep trying to force me into compliance by guilting or shaming me, or same tactics they've used my entire life, and clinging to that title of we're your parents, don't disrespect us, like that type of thing. You know what I'm talking about. But they just keep repeating it and expecting things to change. It's absurd. It's insanity, the definition of insanity. So, absolutely, I know that they are mentally disordered, but narcissistic personality disorder has this element to it where it's like these people are intelligent enough to know that they are making these malicious, underhanded attacks on you. They know what they're doing. And that's what kind of gives it another layer of confusion, a difficult time reconciling it or coming to terms with it or trying to make peace with it, I guess you could say. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to remove ourselves from it, not take it personally, and package it up and send it off. That's ultimately the goal in healing. Is you don't want to drink poison and expect the other person to die, as the quote says. Like, you don't want to harm yourself by holding on to this anger and resentment. So my goal has been to see them for what they are and to know that we're not dealing on a level playing field here. We're conscious, decent human beings with empathy, with hearts and souls. We have compassion for one another. And the narcissists, the toxic unit, they don't have that. So the difference between a disease and a disorder is negligible. It's used interchangeably, as I said, in the medical community. But for argument's sake, I'm going to say that the narcissistic personality disorder is a choice that someone is making. Absolutely, it comes from a place of trauma, childhood trauma, whatever led this person into this mentality, this toxic way of behaving. A personality disorder is determined by a pervasive pattern of interactions, interpersonal relationships, personal or professional, that actually is significantly enough problematic for the disordered individual. So, but narcissists will never go and be diagnosed. We know that. But I have to say that I do believe that a lot of these narcissists have comorbidities, which means a fancy way of saying they have something else going on mentally. And I'm sure that you will agree with me. Like, when I think about my toxic narcissistic mother, she definitely is like histrionic or something. You know, that overinflated dramatic reactions to things. She's got something else going on. But back to the notion that narcissists make choices. They deliberately and intentionally set out to hurt other people. And yes, it's coming from their own trauma, but finding sympathy for that is very difficult because obviously we're victims of trauma. We're all here, narcissistic abuse, and we would never even dream of being that disgusting and evil to other people. But this is their path, I guess. This is the way they went. And I'm inclined to think that if they did seek out help, identify this disorder, maybe there would be a chance of rehabilitation, of change. But part of the disorder is that they refuse to acknowledge that there's any type of flaw within them. They can't, because at the core of it all is their fragile, over ridiculously sensitive, inadequate self-perception. So they are completely devoid of any self-esteem. So they construct this elaborate facade of, being grandiose, the best of everything. And that's your narcissistic personality disorder. It's difficult, man. I'm trying to get to a place where I can kind of find... I've been there, man. I go back and forth. I vacillate. Like, I have pity for these people because they will never genuinely, truly ever feel genuine, real, authentic love, true happiness in their lives. They're not capable of it because they're not equipped with, love involves vulnerability, and they can't do that. They're so screwed up in terms of their processing mannerisms, their personality disorder. It dictates their entire life, and they can't make genuine formative relationships with other people. So at the end of the day, that's that. But I do believe that there is a difference between this disorder and genuine mental diseases. For example, I was looking up schizophrenia. Obviously, that's a disease. It involves physical elements of your brain that are disrupted, that cause delusions, hallucinations, things of that nature. But the personality disorder, as I said, it's almost a choice. You guys, did you see the look of terror on my face? The FedEx guy pulled up to my neighbor's house and Gino went ballistic. Obvi. I tried to wrap this up, and I'm having flashbacks of last weekend. Everything I did just was destroyed or screwed up, so I'm just gonna wrap this up. But if you do any research on differences between a disorder and a disease, and you find anything different, do not hesitate to leave it in the comments. But I spared you from having to do that research because I did it and I didn't find any. My whole point of this video is like trying to come to terms with the fact that your parents are mentally disordered. It's something that it's such a profound defense mechanism that they're unable to identify it, separate themselves from it, and rehabilitate themselves. Essentially, they're incapable of change because this defense mechanism is so fortified to protect them from their fragile ego, their lack of esteem, confidence, all of that. But it's difficult to kind of make peace with this because they maliciously went after us, sabotaged us, sought out to hurt us. And it's because they come from a place of misery that will never have formidable, substantial, meaningful, loving relationships. So at the end of the day, that in and of itself is punishment enough. That's it. I mean, I wish I had a better answer for you. It's so disturbing. It's so sad. It's just a pile of crap, basically. But we're better people, man. Like, we are bumped, we are bruised, but beyond everything else, we are blessed because we have a level of compassion and kindness others will never know, because we know what it's like to be targeted, abused, and profoundly hurt and let down by people that we loved and trusted. We would never do that. So please like, give me a thumbs up, please subscribe, share with anyone you think this would be applicable to. I hope I provided you with some useful information. I love you all, and I will be back next week, I hope.